I'm John Krasinski, and I am doing a show called Angry Alan by myself on stage. That could go one of two ways, and I'm hoping it goes the right way.
Sam Gold. I get to do a play with John Krasinski and Penny Skinner this spring. What could be better?
I'm thrilled to be back doing theater, especially theater in New York, especially a new play, especially Off-Broadway. All these things are really, really exciting to me, and so I just hope I don't screw it up.
We're going to open Studio Seaview, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be opening their new space with this play.
Ditto. What he said.
I always had it in my head that you wanted to do a play and was always being like, oh, is this the right thing to send John, and looking for the thing. And then
nice.
It's like all those stories when something good is happening where it just like fell into place super easily and quickly.
Super fast. Yeah.
Like you read Penny's script.
Yeah, I've been looking to get back on stage forever. I mean, for me, there truly is nothing like being on stage, and I've only done it once professionally. But I've been desperate to get back up and couldn't find anything, like you said, for years. And then I remember they sent me this play, our agents sent me this play, and I think I texted them on page 5 that I was doing this. Like, I have to do this play.
Wow.
She's so talented, she wrote such an unbelievable play, and then we were randomly meeting 2 days later anyway.
Then we immediately did it.
It happened very fast. It's still happening too fast. The fact that we're doing interviews for this before we've done the play, or before I've even rehearsed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is how
so there's plenty of time for me to pull out, is what I'm saying.
We have you on film now, so you're not allowed out of it.
Exactly.
At the end of every meeting, there's usually some threat of you not doing the play.
Yeah, what I do is I have Gosling on speed dial, and as I walk out of a room, I just go, do you feel like you want to do it? And if he says yes, he just takes it. No, it's probably maybe the most terrifying thing I've done in my career, the prospect of it. And yet the fear is equally met with so much excitement because of what she wrote. I mean, Penny wrote, in my opinion, one of the most human characters I've seen on stage in a long time, because this person, Roger, the character of Roger, is going through life and he's feeling lost, and he's feeling like he's not quite sure how the next day is going to go. And I think that a lot of people feel that, and I think that that idea of how do you get through one day to the next when you have when you're going through stuff in your life is something that really connected to me immediately. And again, she's just so funny. She is somehow has that beautiful chemistry of such heart and such beautiful drama, and the whole time with these turns of phrase that I've never read anything like that. So I'm very excited about it.
It is very scary to, as an actor, to get out there alone. It's a lot. It's scary because the character that you want to play is going through scary stuff.
Right.
And so there's something about you being like, I'm dying to get on stage, and the thing I found is this incredibly challenging show with an incredibly challenging character, and yet somehow you've been like incredibly, like you've been like easy breezy fun.
I'm waiting for that blind fear to hit me, which I'm sure it will on a multitude of days. But I think that at the end of the day, there is something about this that feels like I said, I signed on page 5 before I'd even finished, because there was something about this that just felt like it had to happen, and I was so lucky to have it come to me. And now, having done a workshop with you and Penny, she's just so fantastic and so talented, and so to be a part of this is such an honor. And then, listen, I've wanted to work with you, but not only just you, but your body of work is so impressive. You've directed some of my favorite plays, and I think, in my opinion, have shifted sort of the pantheon of theater these days. You've done it single-handedly with so many incredible plays, from Fun Home to The Flick to Enemy of the People to all these things. And so for me to have someone like you, I think is probably bringing me a lot of calm. I think that the calm of going up against this crazy beast of a challenge is nice, because I know I have such an incredible team behind me.
It would be helpful when we're sort of talking to people before they've seen the play, is that the play is called Angry Alan, but that is not the character you're playing.
Correct, yeah.
I think it's important to say that the play is dealing in anger and a sort of a sort of volcano of that in the world right now. The play is a monologue, not delivered by Angry Alan,
Correct.
but delivered by Roger, who knows if he would have responded to Angry Alan 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 1 day ago.
Yeah.
But on this day, in this moment that we meet him, he has been sort of hooked by this guy, Angry Alan, who is a sort of conspiracy theorist on the internet and who has some ideas that speak to Roger in this particular moment.
I think people are in search of answers to whatever questions or fears that they have, and you never know which, avenue is going to come and hit you in the side and actually connect to you. And I think that one of my favorite parts about the play is how in the beginning Roger's very clear that he didn't expect any of this to happen.
Yeah.
That just like you, he went on his phone and he fell down a rabbit hole that a friend sent an email which led him to a link which led to another thing, and it's very easy to see that we fall into that every single day. Mine usually end up with puppy videos, but I think that it's just very relatable because it's very human and it's very apropos of what's going on now.
Somehow, strangely enough, I've never worked at the Kiser Theater over the years it's been there. It's been a great place to see plays because it's very intimate and it's got a really great sort of envelope and feeling in the room. And
I love when the curtains go, it's on.
Yeah, it's different. There's
Yeah.
something sort of unique in, New York is filled with these old, weird Victorian buildings that make no sense for theater anymore. They're built for Ethel Merman to stand down center and declaim something. And then you get these other cool spaces where you can get more intimacy, you can get much closer to the characters. And so when you brought me this play, we didn't know where we were going to do it, and we sort of thought of doing it somewhere like this where people could be really up close to you and it sort of takes place in your imagination, and so everyone can sort of get inside your head a little bit. And so I'm really excited to do something where where it's very intimate and everyone feels like you can be just talking right to people. You can be with the people that are in the audience with you, and that I'm sure that's going to freak you out, and you'll have to call in some support. But I think it's going to feel really good once you get up and running to have the audience right there for you.
Yeah, 100%. Again, you have to go through it with a group of people, and I think the way you're framing it, which is really fun, is that Roger knows that there's a group of people he's talking to, rather than this sort of echo chamber where he thinks he's speaking to himself. He knows that he has to deliver his story to people, which is great. And I also think doing it at a sort of the rebirth moment of a theater like this is really exciting, to be a part of a new life, a new narrative, a new story in a theater that, again, like you said, these are hallowed halls, all these different spaces in New York, and so to actually be at the kickoff point of a new era of this theater is really fun.
Yeah, I want to also just, give a shout out to commercial Off-Broadway. This is a thing.
Yes.
When I first moved to New York and was seeing theater and interested in becoming a director, this was a thing. There were plays that were not right for Broadway that, because their audience would be a little more niche. They weren't as broad, they weren't as commercial as a big Broadway play. And those were the kind of plays I really loved.
Totally.
And you could see them have a real robust run and a real sense of success at some of these off-Broadway theaters, off-Broadway commercial theaters that then kind of all died out. And we're at this really big turning point right now in theater as the landscape is really different post-pandemic, really different with a federal government that could completely defund the arts. We're at this really, really strange moment in how the arts are going to sort of survive this time when everyone's addicted to phones, and it's a strange time to make live theater. And it's been very buoying and exciting to see that actually commercial off-Broadway is coming back and becoming kind of an answer to that there's an excitement and an energy that you can get in these spaces where you can take more risks. So we can do something that takes a risk, where you could come to me with something that it's a brave show for you, and we could find a home for it that it feels like we can be really successful in without having to get up in front of 2,000 people and feel like we have to change the nature of the show to make sure it works for all of them.
Right.
There's something much that it lends itself to risk taking and art making in a way that feels like a really good answer to the moment we're in.
This live experience of getting to see theater in general, I think, is going up, but also, like you said, seeing stuff that's a little bit different. And so I want to have a very unique experience, not just an experience that is big and fun and grandiose, but also this idea of getting to experience a story or getting to experience a prism of life that I didn't really consider, and I'm going to go do that. And people are seeking it out, which is really thrilling.
You keep saying you've only done one play professionally, but what about the non-professional plays? Like, can we get a little view into like Brown University?
Interestingly, theater in a way completely changed my life, because through high school I hadn't done any theater. I had done one show, and then I got to Brown University, and I immediately was drawn to the theater, having no idea that's where I would head, because I wanted to be a part of the circus. I wanted to be a part of this community of people that would consistently challenge me, introduce new information, new bits of art, whether it was music or theater or books or anything. It was the most alive community I had ever been a part of. So I was painting sets, lighting sets, doing whatever they would let me do to stay near it. And then sort of acting it came later, to be honest with you. I would do anything to be around this group of people. And so I think that idea of theater and this community did change my life, because it made me think, could I potentially do this for the rest of my life? And it was something that was so alluring that I decided to try it.
It'll be nice. It'll be so fun this summer, like to be back on stage and to feel that community, like everyone just coming and seeing people there and feeling connected to the audience.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
Listen, there's a magic to theater where, in my opinion, this sounds super hallmarky and crazy, but it's true. There's a magic dust that comes off the floor, and when it comes off the floor, if you're in a huge space, it can leak out of any different side door or window unless you really hold the audience. And I think for me, it's going to be incredibly helpful that if I can conjure any magic dust whatsoever, I think the audience is actually part of that. I think the audience is feeling, and that energy that the audience will have, however they're reacting positively or negatively to the character and what he's saying, because there are things that are challenging that the character says, that will add to the moment and the atmosphere in the room. And I think that room will become part of, a big part of the show. And one of the main characters will become the audience's interaction to me and how they feel. So this room is damn near perfect for it.
I like the magic dust metaphor. It's like I've done a lot of plays where that magic dust did leak out somehow, and then a lot where we kept that magic dust in the air, and it was pretty special.
Yeah, and it is only the ones that you can tell the audience is sharing in it and transmitting it back to you. Those are the fun times. And I think what you say is really interesting too, because people coming to see this show or shows like it are choosing to see a show like this. And I think that immediately bonds you with the rest of the people in the room. This is what you wanted to do on whatever night you're going, rather than necessarily being like, they don't have tickets to Hello Dolly, so I'll go see Angry Alan. So I know why I came to the play as an actor. This role jumped off the page and probably bewitched me in some way, shape, or form. But for you, when you read a one-person show, that I would imagine that would be one of the hardest things to imagine your way into bringing to life. You don't have a whole cast to help you out, bounce energy around. You just have one dude. And then also staging-wise and what's happening behind the character, how to bring the audience into his world when he's going to do as best he can, but you're the one who has to build the world. How did you go about that? What was your first instinct reading the play, and then how has it grown since you've read it?
I mean, this sounds kind of Pollyanna, but I think of every piece of theater like it's this this ritual that the performer and the audience get to do together. So I'm always thinking about this air, this like space between the audience members and the performers and the way they breathe together. And it is a lot easier when there's multiple actors, because that air is shared between all these people. So when you have one person on stage, it puts a lot more pressure on the relationship between that performer and the audience, because the audience winds up being the only collaborator with the actor to like breathe that air and create that ritual. So I very rarely do a solo piece for that reason. What I saw in this was the audience, the relationship between Roger and the audience was very unique and interesting because there's a lot of dramatic irony built into the play. There's stuff the audience is going to sort of hear in a different way than Roger's hearing it. So you've got that, you've got how the audience hears it, how Roger hears it, what we know about people like Angry Alan, what we bring to it, how can we defy expectations, how do we take you on a different ride than you're expecting, but then also how he needs these people. That like the character has to need the other characters, and I sort of saw how he could need this audience to help him through this moment, and I felt for him. Like, he's a guy going through something, it's very desperate. He's a guy who I think a lot of audience members could come in not wanting to have compassion for, and what it will feel like to get the audience breathing with that guy and being compassionate and being interested and leaning in. Because it's all about getting the audience to sort of lean in to the experience and feel like they're being taken away into it. And I could just sort of feel that, really, because I could picture you so quickly, like as soon as, because it was you sending it to me and I read it with your voice in my head, I was like, oh, I think there's something we could pull off here, where the relationship you could have with that audience and the way you guys would breathe together would take a character who they might have preconceptions about, and we could get ahead of those preconceptions and bring the audience deeper into his psyche than they thought they'd be able to get. Right. And that depth and the sort of layers of that will feel satisfying or feel like a bit of a magic trick.
Mic drop.